headlines shortly. But DG, I asked a question before we took a break. Let's talk about that issue. That Machakos Girls, there's an audit by the Auditor General that says that Machakos Girls has been put in a spot for ignoring warnings by Public Works of Public Works officers on the safety of buildings at the institution. The Ministry of Public Works, in a report sent to the school about 4 years ago, condemned the school's old buildings. Some premises are over 100 years old, the auditor said. This is a national school.
It is not only that school.
Yes.
There are many. There are many across the county. There are many across the country. And generally, I would wish to say this Quality and Standards Council under the Ministry of Education, I think it should be made independent. I did not expect Kenya Power to take responsibility of what happened in Nyeri or elsewhere. They will always come out to defend themselves, and they look good when we know how their services are. We need an independent body that has expertise in some of these areas that can go and maybe engage Minister of Public Works and interrogate that report. Then from that point of view, as an independent, well-resourced body, it can now come in and maybe engage the school. If this was something that was taken 4 years ago, I don't understand up to date, nothing has happened. I think by having that independent body in place, we will be in a position to address many of these challenges. Point number 2. Somebody, a very good writer, has come up with a very good material on, is called Mike Lofgren. He has come up with a book called The Deep State. Deep State, he talks of the fall of the Constitution and the rise of shadow government. Under it, there are cartels and a lot of other things. I think that is what is happening in this country, where we see the public service, it's like there, it is not there, but somebody else is trying to advance. We need to go back to our constitution, and we need to adhere to it. As a public officer, you need to, even you yourself as a person, you hold yourself to account. You ask yourself, why am I in this office? What is expected of me? If I ask myself those questions, I have the right environment. I'm free to execute my mandate without being micromanaged from somewhere. We will be in a position to deal with some of these so-called issues that are leading us to disaster after disaster.
How is the management of Machakos Girls?
There is a board of directors. Board of management. And then down there is the principal, who is the secretary to that board, to that BOM. And then there is teaching and non-teaching staff, then students. Okay? But if they know somebody somewhere is watching, this report will be taken very seriously. This is a public institution. I expect the decision-making actions to have somebody to respond to them. I expect when this report came out, I expected by then somebody will draw a roadmap on how to ensure what is recommended is implemented. It is not a question of today we have Changulis, tomorrow we have Hillside Academy, and then the life continues. It's not no more. We are not hearing those things in our neighboring countries. We are not hearing these things elsewhere in the world. Why Kenya? All through. Yet, we are prided to have the most educated leaders in high positions. It beats logic. I don't understand.
Promise me one thing, that you will make a trip to the school and probably just take a look at that report, if it's still there, and probably just interrogate now that it's under your jurisdiction, perhaps?
One, it's not practically possible. The only thing is because I know the leaders, I can maybe place a call to them. Sure. I don't want to make this thing a political or visit a specific school when I know there are several.
There's already.
I sat with the principal, Machakos Boys, a very renowned and effective administrator. And I can tell you it is not different from what we are hearing from just Machakos Girls. It is not different. Actually, it could be worse, because that is where likes of Mutula Kilonzo went to school. And those buildings, even by looking at them, you can see these are condemned buildings. So something somewhere, we need a national policy to guide some of these things. And we have a roadmap in place, not necessarily Machakos Girls. There are so many. We need to address across so that we have one way moving forward on now to have Kenyans working in those institutions, or now to have our students and pupils more safer, even anyone visiting those, even teaching, teaching staff and non-teaching staff to be safe. So in this case, I don't recommend either myself or my boss when she comes to pay a visit to either Machakos Boys, or to any school. But we need, remember, despite the fact that we are leaders in that particular county, education is still domiciled with the national government. So in this case, doesn't mean we cannot do anything. But we need a policy from at national level that will guide moving forward out to handle this.
We'll wait, because this committee is already formed to take a look at what's happening in the country. Kevin?
Victor, I just wanted to make an addition to what Bwana DG has said, and probably two things. That one, the wave of the Gen Z kusalimiana, we need to see that devolved further into other sectors, particularly education. And that citizens should be willing, ready, and available to just walk into any school and ask the management, can I see your washrooms? You know, can I see your pit latrines? Can I see your dormitories? Can I see the safety measures? Because I think that sometimes we make assumptions, and this assumption is also validated and exacerbated by our leaders, and particularly around what I would call equity. To the extent that certain schools are considered very, honorable and very nice and very proper for, children of the who is who's in the society, as opposed to other schools, and particularly generally the public schools in this country. The moment we'll begin to see citizens taking their own sovereign responsibility to walk into schools, and even parents, the schools where our children are, if we can walk over there. I went to a school where now my daughter goes to, and there was no CCTV, and I recommended to the principal, please, one of the security measures that you need to put in place are the following. 1, 2, 3, 4. And when we went there for the last parents meeting, we were actually told that CCTV installation is one of the priorities now that the school has amidst other priorities. And so my encouragement and exhortation to Kenyan citizens is be ready and available to walk into any school. And then salimia watu. If something is not right, take a photo. What we teach in social accountability. Take photos of those pit latrines that are not even inhabitable. Take photos of those dormitories where there are no exits. You have dormitories up to 4th floor, Victor. And you talked about the grills, The windows are locked with grills. How will children, I've seen reports of this little boy who saved 2 of his colleagues at Hillside, and he had to jump, and then he realized, oh, I can save some people, and he went back. Imagine if we were able to build the capacity of as many children and learners in schools to be able to do that. And so it is my request that Kenyans, let's not think through education as a reserve, or certain education facilities as a reserve for specific people. Walk in and hold people accountable. And number 2, so that I close on this, Mheshimiwa has said that he might not walk into Machakos schools. Machakos Girls School, which I agree with. But also remember that constitutionally we have something called the Schedule 4 functions that sets certain schools for national government and some schools for county governments. We need to see a mechanism of intergovernmental engagement and relationships taking place between county governments and national governments, so that the directors of any school, and especially given the kind of infrastructure that we are talking about, any school, whether it's public or whether it's national or county government, can be able to walk in and advise, issue advisories, and just talk to people. And I don't know what happened to when we were in school. Our teachers used to tell us, sikuwa shuleni sababu nilienda mkutano wa walimu, where they would go and just share successes, challenges that they have, and then jointly agree on those issues. We need to see this shrinking gaps or haters between public and private schools, national and county schools. So of course that's a constitutional issue, but I don't think that there is any problem in sharing stories of successes of schools that are excelling, even in infrastructural investment, even as we do the same for academic performance. Because we are so good at sharing our grades, sharing what we are doing. Oh, this school is going to visit the other school. But we also want to see education management or schools management bodies or boards also going to see what other schools that do not have these perennial fires are doing and what they can be able to do to make the safety and security of our learners better.
Mheshimiwa Sosion, when you respond to that, we all remember the late Mishuki, a classic example. When the matatu industry was, was not performing well, the late Mishuki stood firm and came with Mishuki rules that we are still following to date. To date. Posthumously, we can still celebrate Mishuki because of the kind of sanity that he brought on the transport system. We also came about, Professor Magoha Matiang'i, who made sure that all school buses to be painted yellow. That is a rule that we are still following to date. Why don't we have another national regulation or order to ensure that all dormitories in all schools across the country have gone through a revamp of structural order, that every school must have a fire hydrant? We have piped, fire extinguisher in schools.
I think, Victor,
is it hard to do that? I'm just asking.
I think, Victor, you are proposing what is already contained in the regulations.
Then why are we not getting it right?
The question is they're not being enforced. And you've talked of Michuki. We now need a Michuki approach in the education sector.
Then it's so sad that these things exist.
To make it work. And very quickly, just to summarize this opinion and what is expected, Kenya is supposed to deliver equitable, inclusive, quality education for all. Equitable. So the principle here is equality. And all schools are supposed to be the same. That is one fundamental principle. Number two, the fact that county governments are not constitutionally having any role, I think is an issue of interpretation. The laws have to be cleaned up so that infrastructure of schools can be fully devolved and be managed by county governments. That is a practice all over the world.
So that the
governor here
can release a fire extinguisher.
The governor here can release a fire extinguisher. The governor here can supervise the construction of schools and all that and ensure that the standards are clear. We are in a devolved era and we cannot have everything centralized within one ministry. The nationalization of education was to the respect of the curriculum, the policies, and teachers. But there are certain things that technically even national government cannot manage, like infrastructure. Now that county government has more votes and can mobilize resources and can collect their own funds, the basic service that they must be able to give is education and is about infrastructure. And that is why we don't need to promote privatization in education where unscrupulous individuals have entered the market and are running institutions that do not meet the minimum regulations. And from the question that you are asking, why do we have guidelines on safety and are not implemented? This department called ESCAC, and this is why I'm urgently calling that there has to be establishment of that.
What is that department?
education standard and quality assurance that is provided for under Article 64 of the Basic Education Regulations. The other day, the court ordered the CS, the new CS, to establish it within 60 days. This has to be done, and also proper panels established at the counties. And those panels must work with public health. Those panels must also work with auditors and inspect literally every school. And any school that does not meet the standards should be closed down, including dormitories that do not meet safety standards. Dormitories where there are congestion, that should also be dealt with.
Government schools? That also include government schools?
It does, as long as it is a school,
okay,
whether public or private. There should be no discrimination as to compliance with the law. Compliance with the law is all schools. It doesn't matter whether it's public or private. We need the re-engineering of policies within the sector and within the country and within the mindset of Kenya, because we have practiced discrimination where all of us who are seated here, we can take our children to private schools and we leave the public schools to collapse. With the advent of CBC, which other than containing several aspects of competencies of the 21st century, the other one is promoting value-based education. Value-based education is a continuum on daily basis between home and school. And then probably we need a law and a regulation here to ensure that no child goes to boarding until a certain age, maybe up to 15 years, so that then we have all students on day-based education, maybe with the exception of ASAL areas, special need education children, and a few special cases that can be identified and known, so that then we ensure that there is a role between home and school, and children are actually safe up to that age, and we get rid of this frenzy of boarding schools, which ends up being a big kill of businesses, of procurement, of making money. We don't need to promote this type of business. We must pivot back. Victor, 10 years ago, the global competitiveness of Kenya in education in Africa in terms of two things, quality delivery and access, we were number one. But 10 years down the line, because we have allowed bad policies to reign supreme, we are not inspecting our schools, we are dumping money. In fact, the money that is deployed to education is enough to educate our children without anybody paying fees.
Comfortable.
We were number one, but now we have dropped up to number 7, and we are likely to move down. And that's why I agree. We now need Michuki approach in the education sector. This and the Russia thing, the proprietor should be in jail if we are talking about compliance with the law and violation of regulations. And not just the proprietor, because that building has been in existence within the knowledge of the Ministry of Education. Somebody in the Ministry of Education should also be in jail. We must do that.
Okay.
We must punish those who are paid, the violation of laws, particularly as it relates to the
it's so
safety
sad
of
that
our
I
children.
asked a question, and Sosion, under your knowledge, the rules and regulations and all these things still exist. So it means the issue of implementation is where the problem is.
And who is this not implementing? Why are they in office? Why are they earning? Why do we live as if things are normal?
Victor, I think that
Sad state of affairs here.
the cabinet, the parliamentary committee on education, the National Assembly Committee on Education needs to probably summon, quote unquote,
I think let's get out of parliament. Let this now be. Let this be criminalized.
Can I make my point?
The DPP and DCI for now.
Can I make my point,
Because
please?
the moment we go through parliament, we will be normalizing and opening a table of arguments, and we bury.
You know where I come from?
I think it is time we criminalize.
Where I come from,
I'm pleading with you. Let us criminalize it.
The young ones respect their elders, that when they speak, we keep quiet.
And the elders respect
and that
the young
it is expected now in the 21st century that when the young ones speak, the elders also can give them a listening ear. So that the Parliamentary Committee on Education summons the Cabinet Secretary to answer to these questions. because I was, and I've always been very uncomfortable with some of the vetting questions when we are appointing or giving certain people very high-level positions, like now CS. And in this panel, we are raising issues up to over 12 years ago. Why is there no implementation on critical issues, yet somebody is being paid by taxpayers' monies, and this individual and these individuals can respond to these questions? Even as we seek to criminalize people and to put them in jail, can we give them a listening ear to answer to certain questions around why are certain key expectations not being met? Why are implementation processes not being done? Because through that mechanism, then we can be able to know, Bwana DG and Mheshimiwa Sosion, where there are loose ends. Because this will continue, and we have said it. As I finish on this, you mentioned 100 schools that closed because the learners asked to be released during the strikes, which presents the question of stress and mental health, Victor. Schools should also now get ready to provide safe havens. I know that during our time, we used to have guiding and counseling masters or teachers. I don't know whether they still exist, I think so. The matrons and all those others need to be empowered, and probably special safety nets put in schools where an ailing learner, a child can walk in and say, I am uncomfortable with something I saw at home. I have heard so-and-so planning a strike, or I saw so-and-so carrying something that looks like a matchbox. And that when they make these kind of reports, a conversation around mental health, around stress management can be had. And through that, Victor, I think those will provide small, soft spaces where we can be able to address some of these concerns even before they escalate up to these levels.
Great. Let's take a break.
Before we take a break, please allow me 1 minute as I say the following.
Can I just come back with that? We are on top of the time.
Fresh.
Okay.
All right, I'll come back to you that. We'll be right back with more. Stay with us. All right, welcome back. So, you wanted to say something before we took a break? Kindly.
One is I still hold the opinion that we need these standards and quality regulatory authority to be established soonest, either through an executive order or through an act of parliament. We need that independent, well-resourced agency to be in place. That will bring the Department of the Interior and even Education at the very lowest level, at the sublocational level, to life and to ensure the right things are done. Number two, for us, I think the world and specifically Kenyans, we have not learned from the COVID-19 effects. When that things happened, the world was closed. Airspace was closed. Waterways were closed. Everything came to a standstill. And you are told to now stay where you are. I have a radical proposal. Can we have anyone, Mwangangi included, ensure if you are being paid, maintained by taxpayers' money, if it is education, can you go to a public university? Can you go to a public college? Can you go to a primary, which are public? Can we make good use of our public institutions so that this business of I run down a certain department and I take, when I have malaria, I go to the top-notch hospitals, comes to an end. We make sure if Mwangangi, you have malaria, please go to the nearest public dispensary. Go feel the pain of the Kenyan people who go there and do not find drugs. The other one is for us to address all these things. And I want for the first time, I'm a person who speaks pro-devolution. Can we, for the first time, as a country, have a conversation with a clear mind on how to move resources from center, practically from center to the grassroots? How do you do it? the funds like GAF, funds like NGCDF, they need to share at least 15% of the national revenue. Why can't we have NGCDF go up to 10, 12, 15%? Because that money goes anywhere and it will go a long way in addressing what we are discussing here. Why can't we have 50% go to devolution? And then the remaining 35%, it remains at the central. Because the reason why we are fighting to have everything centralized is because of the cartels, because of the high kickbacks, because of the corruption and mismanagement of some of our section. And by the way, I need to make a disclaimer. We have very good public officers in this country, but we have a few others who just come in to loot, literally to loot. So in this case, for the first time, we can now place the country before our time. We think of about Kenyans, and that is going to be pro-Kenyans, not our selfish interest. Who said in this country, you must be a leader top there to own land everywhere across the country. Yet, when you die, you will just have a small grave. Who said you must be the richest? If in a county, in the event you are a deputy governor there, you must be a deputy governor to be a millionaire, to be a billionaire. Where did this notion come from? Because that is our source of our problems.
Yeah.
If today every public officer, every civil servant, everybody who gains from the money from the public is prohibited from taking your children, your relative to a private academies. If you can't go to any medical facility which is private, I'm telling you, we will concentrate on offering effective and efficient public services.
Equality.
Yes.
That's what Sosyon was talking about, equality.
Yes. And we fight. This business of you are elected and you must get, you must go be somebody somewhere to go and effect a law, that must come to an end. And we must have a point of departure when it comes to division of resources in this country. Today, as I sit here, and these leaders here can confirm, in the last 3 months, no single cent has come from the central point. Yet, the national government officials, all of them, including members of, including everybody, have already been paid. We at the county just strangle. You are a second thought. Who? Yet somebody somewhere, seated somewhere, is under violation of the Constitution. We have 48 governments in this country, as per this Constitution. It is not me. It is the Constitution.
Yeah.
Why do you seek to go to a public officer if you are not going to stand out there and implement fully the Constitution, which some of us sought to protect? So in this case, Victor, my take would be, it is all these things we are discussing because we have deviated from adhering, from implementing, from sticking, from following our Constitution. Our constitutionalism in this country is dying. And it is dying because of the kind of leaders that we have. It is as simple as that.
You know, you're saying that, and Kevin, as the chief executive of the County Governor's Watch, must be cringing wherever he is.
And I am Victor, because Mheshimiwa is saying all the right things. Last week, or a few days ago, we commemorated 14 years of this Constitution of Kenya 2010. What did that mean to us? What does that mean to government, institutions, and agencies? And you see, when we were growing up many years ago, of course we still are, being a public servant, a state officer, used to be a very honorable thing. I remember when people would be hired as teachers, our village members would celebrate. When people would be hired as medical doctors for public offices or public health institutions, people would celebrate because it would be like, you know, now go and do what you have been taught to do. But Victor, we have eroded public service to be so personified and so personal that people, a number of those who are in the public service today, walk in there to only go and get or to mint what they can be able to mint. But narrowing that down to devolution, honestly, and if you look at Schedule 4, most of those functions that are there, over 14 plus, have been given to counties. But the resources are not following functions. And it is so sad that for more than 3+ months now, county governments have not received resources. The Council of Governors is always talking about this, always making pressers, always begging. They are seemingly begging, you know, National Treasury and the national government to do a number of issues. One, release the funds to counties. Number two, secede functions that are not yours and take them to county governments and their primary core functions. Health, Victor. You know, as per the Constitution, the Ministry of Health only has one responsibility, and that responsibility is for organization of national policy regarding health. But every day, we see national government, the Minister of Health from national government, rushing into counties to do what you don't know. The president is over-obsessed with affordable housing. It is not your responsibility by this constitution. Housing, urban development, all these things are county government functions. So when you read, for instance, that ODM MPs refused, what did the headline say? Refused to accompany the president. They are doing the right thing. Because until we realize that there are functions that have been set for county governments and for national governments, and that the president will be highly celebrated if he works very well with local leaders, because that is where the rubber is meeting the road. That is where services are being delivered. That is where the people who require them at most service delivery are actually domiciled. So siphoning all these resources and holding them at the national level to be able to be seen to be doing something, Victor, is not going to help the Kenya Kwanza government. Let them work closely with county governments, and when the law says release resources, please release those resources. There are institutions, Victor, like IBEC, I'm sure Mheshimiwa sits in IBEC, that is given the responsibility to ensure that there is peaceful, harmonious, and indeed constitutional disbursement of resources to counties. Why haven't IBEC met to discuss these serious issues that are affecting devolution? You know, we have the Council of Governors meeting every day, and we have the devolution and governance civil society organizations like County Governance Watch and all of us that are every day advocating for protection of both the Constitution and devolution. But why are we seeing the government, particularly the national government, silent? We are asking the president, please calm down, Zakayo Ashuke, to counties and empower the counties, particularly from the level of releasing the resources. And I'm calling the president because when we were looking for the CS for Treasury, that is where the money sits, he's the one who actually nominated and appointed the person. So if he makes a phone call to Treasury and asks, what is this thing I'm hearing about, county monies? There is going to be a very proper conversation to take place. So the monies are released and services are
I want to finish this so that I get into...
before you ask the question you wanted to ask, I know Mheshimiwa Sosioni wants to come in. And just 1 minute. How, from here, if I have malaria, for example, how will I go and face a doctor who has not been paid for 3 months? How demotivated is that person really? Is he not more stressed than the patient he is attending or she is attending? How again, look at another scenario. Kevin is talking about IBEC, and I agree with him. But here, we have a chair of IBEC who is being undermined left, right, center.
And that is the deputy president.
And that is the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya. It is in public knowledge. Tell me any policy, any decision, IBEC has sat, agreed, and it has been implemented fully. I've represented my county and my boss in some of those meetings. And we just talk. Nowadays, you can even summon some of these officers and they don't turn up at all. And it is not the issue are not, the people are not differentiating His Excellency Honorable Gachagua and the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. The person and the office. Well, if we cannot respect him as a person, why can't we respect the office? So I'm telling you, the issue of constitutionalism in this country is key.
And not just constitutionalism. Constitutionalism, the rule of law, and transparent governance. That is where we fail in many institutions.
Yes.
And then we added with incompetencies. And then on top of incompetencies, entrenched cartels.
Where does that one come in?
Yeah, of course, they are there. It does exist. But then, if I may pivot back to education, because we are talking generally, these education standards and quality assurance, it is provided in the Basic Education Act.
Mm-hmm.
And we placed it with Honorable Mutula Kilonzo in 2012 because we were foreseeing an education system that is properly regulated. The regulator of education operations is quality assurance. It regulates what the minister does. It regulates what the teachers do in school.
Mm-hmm.
It regulates what the boards of management do. It informs. Without which, then we are running an unregulated education system. And we thought we could establish an entity that is independent and that can be facilitated to do a good job. But the successive ministers, I dare mention.
That is from the late Mutula Kilonzo.
No. From Kaimenyi
Okay.
to Matiang'i. I think Amina Mohammed tried to really regularize the processes of the ministry, but she was kicked out by cartels, even together with yours truly, because the cartels don't want the truth. And then Magoa became a chief inspector of schools, which is not his role. You can't have a minister running around schools and you think you can do anything meaningful. The framework of education is such that the people who visit schools and generate reports that they share with those particular institutions is the quality assurance and standards officers. That one, yes. And that clause was violated and discarded by all the ministers over the years. Because right now we are in 2024. Some of the education would not exist if we had this provision. So really, DG, don't talk of preparing a law. The law is already there. It is only that it is being ignored. And we know there have been efforts to try and amend that provision. And I think now in 2024, what the Education Committee should do is to summon the minister and ask the minister why the ministry has not implemented this.
But I said that
so I think
to arrest people.
I think now, Julius.
What did you ask, Kevin?
No, I was just trying to help him understand that is why I was bringing in Parliament, so that they ask concerns around implementation.
That is within oversight.
Yeah.
But with respect to what has happened in schools, those are outright criminal activities somebody take criminal actions on those ones. If it's criminal action, it's criminal action.
Sure.
But once this is implemented, then the ministers should stop doing the work of quality assurance, running around schools, supervising buildings. That is not their work. A minister in all the standards oversees the administration of the sector. Is administration and policy formulation. But a minister cannot run out of the office, run from this school to that school. That is a work of quality assurance. Under the law, it's quality assurance officers who can visit school any minute and even visit teachers in class, observe classroom teaching, and generate reports. Can we do things the right way? As long as that entity does not exist, then our education system will continue deteriorating. We'll continue talking in the talk shows where there are disasters. We'll continue going to mourn and and sending messages of condolence. How many times are we going to fly the flags at half-mast because of disasters that can be prevented?
Okay.
And out of our own negligence. I think as a country, and as you have stated, we need now Michuki approach in the sector, and we don't need to generate new policies.
All right.
Let us have the policies.
I want to get. All right, great. I want us to get something else, gentlemen. And I hear all of you, because if education is not well taken care of, then as a country we've lost. It goes to education, it goes to health, etc., etc. On Friday,
Victor, did you know that, and my co-panelists could confirm, that education is the highest funded from our budget, other than, I think, defense and security?
It is the highest funded, but even we don't have accountability structures to tell us what the money has done. Other than the destruction of...
what is a percentage?
Other than the destruction of quality assurance, even the audit unit has also been destroyed.
Okay, all right.
So that the money that goes to school is not audited.
For the sake of the viewer, you've raised a very good point, Kevin. The highest funded, to what tune?
I think it's almost 37%.
I'll give you
plus.
figures.
Yeah, please do.
I'll give you. UNESCO recommends minimum 6% of GDP. All member state countries must put in at least 6% of the GDP. Kenya, we are just around, sometimes 5.96% of GDP is funds that goes to education. If you compare with a country like Tanzania, it is doing 2%. So when you look at what you're doing, Kenya has done very well. And in that space, we argued since 2003 with Kibaki administration, when free education started, a lot of money has gone into education. And with the new administration, a lot has gone into it. But the question is, what is the money doing? Do we account for the money?
That is a big question.
And these individuals who have destroyed the accounting powers of auditors and audit units in the education, why have they done that?
Great.
Could the money be landing in the wrong hands? Could there be some fishy corruption deals so that... Why did we change even the book procurement so that it is done nationally and not through the bookshops at the locality? There are a lot of fishy deals. Where there are billions of shillings, there are cartels. And I dare say here in this show, in public, that there are cartels around these education funding and funds within the school system. And until and unless we strengthen the audit system and how this money is dispersed to schools and utilized according to the policy of Kibaki. You know, Kibaki was not mad when he recommended the establishment of bookshops in every county so that the school the school fund committee can go and procure books. And you know, books you choose, teachers choose under what we call the recommendation on the status of teachers, ILO UNESCO recommendation number 60. Part of the work of the teacher, duty number 1, is to choose the books to use in class. The books I would choose as a chemistry teacher to teach a chemistry class at Nakuru High School where I taught. It's not the same chemistry book I chose to teach chemistry at St. Teresa Girls, my first posting in Marakwet where I taught. So the books are different, you must choose. But then somebody came and centralized the textbook procurement here in Kenya and said we are saving money for the government. It was not about saving, but it was about delivery of quality teaching and offering opportunities for teachers
what I've come to realize.
So this centralization of textbooks is more of cartelism and making of money.
You know what I've come to realize?
Wrong thing.
That you are opening a whole new set of discussion, because what is happening and what is ailing the education sector, or let me use this word, what is failing the education sector, is quite broad. That perhaps we need something to...
And we must talk about it.
We might talk about it. I promise I'll dedicate time so that we can interrogate it further and have figures and facts on the table so that we can talk about this in totality. Now, I want us to come into something as we finalize on this discussion. So the president will be marking 2 years in office this coming Friday. And so far he's outlined his achievements in the administration. One of them is was out there, and that was also, it's also actually put here on the star. The achievements are contained in the better pillar, that is in the better pillar scorecard report on President William Ruto's track. It was also released by the Office of the Deputy Chief of Staff in charge of Performance and Delivery Management, that is Eliud Owalo. The report was obtained just 2 days. Friday will be marking his 2 years since he was sworn in officially in office. I don't know, will you be marking your 2 years in office, DG? Will you remember Biblia?
September.
Yes, when he was sworn in. He was sworn in on 13th of September 2023.
Yes, yes.
So we'll be clocking
2 years.
We'll be clocking.
That is for the president, but he's asking him about the counties.
The counties.
Counties were ahead of the president
yes,
because
yes,
of the Supreme Court issues here.
So in our case, maybe the governor might release
All right, I'll come back to you shortly. So now, okay, all right. So let's just come back to this. I'll give you a minute so that you can also take a scorecard of different counties. You've also director of County Executive Watch, County Governance Watch, sorry.
Yeah.
I want us to take a look at this. Very fast, the government has registered 5.95 million farmers through the digital platforms, according to that one, to the report, pushing the number to 6.15 million. It also says that since the launch of the new program, the number of fertilizer bags distributed to farmers has risen by 7.2 million to 8.6 million. Let me continue. The cost per bag of fertilizer has decreased by 3,500 bag from 6,000 in 2022 to 2,500 in 2024. Currently, maize production increased by 24 million bags from 61.74 million bags in 2022 to 85.7 million bags in 2023. Let me continue. The average production price of maize per bag also dropped from 4,729 to 3,980. So the government is has also supported, according to the report, supported MSMEs, I beg your pardon, by providing equipment for production. So generally, the president has outlined his achievements over the last 2 years. Allow me to start with you, DJ, because there's connection between the national government and the county governments. What is your general overview of the Kenya Quad administration and also your administration where you work? Spot of achievement.
Let me make a general statement.
Sorry?
Let me make a general statement.
Kindly.
That is, the president and Kenya Kwanza, they might have achieved what they have achieved. But that has been watered down by the demonstrations across the country by the youth and by the university students. Secondly, when we came to the office, the Kenya administration leadership summoned the governors across the country and their deputies. And we sat and we were assured that what has not been done for the last over 10 years will be done within the first 6 months. Both the functions and the resources. To our surprise, today it is still that promise, still waiting. We were told the issue of delayed disbursement of funds will be a thing of past. Today, facts prove otherwise. We were promised that, and by the way, this was both in Azimio and in Kenya Kwanza manifesto. Azimio was saying 30 to 35% of the revenue nationally will go to devolution.
Yeah.
Kenya Kwanza were promising 35 to 40, even 45 in public rallies. I can tell you today it is less than 10% what goes to counties. And even that little one is being delayed for months. Okay? So I think that performance, when you weigh what is alleged to have been achieved and what is happening on the other side, I think this is what is happening on the other side is more than what is alleged to have done, in my view.
Yeah.
We need to move from centralism to the people. Mahatma Gandhi once said, India is not going to be developed by how many industrial cities they develop, but how many villages will be transformed. Meaning, and I think the late third president of the Republic of Kenya, Emilio Mwai Kibaki, understood what Mahatma Gandhi meant, because he was, even before the enactment of 2010 constitution, he had already started taking resources to the grassroots.
Yes.
And that is demonstrated by some of the, it is during his time for the first time, leave alone the constitution, although the constitution was a major achievement. But during his tenure, we saw funds like youth fund going to constituency level, electricity fund going to constituency level, roads fund go to the constituency level. CDF was established during Mheshimiwa Kibaki's tenure, still at the grassroots level. It was during his time that we had Women Enterprise Fund go to established at national level, but with a focus at the grassroots level.
Yes.
Now, what Kenya Kwanza is doing is they are trying to undo that. And remember, we had this decentralization in 1963. We saw the country grow, but we moved so fast and went to centralism again. Now we are seeing Kenya Kwanza systematically. President, look at 3/4 of what he has launched since he came to the office is within the mandate of the county governments. It's like Kenya Kwanza, they talk devolution, but in practice, they try to kill it. And actually they are killing it. I can tell you, for free, they are killing it. And I'm not saying what I'm saying because I'm a deputy governor of a county. No. I'm not saying this because I'm an official of a county. No, far from it. As a scholar, I know how state building can be effectively implemented in any country. In Kenya, the policies we have are going to kill this country, not take them forward. And I think, to me, as far as performance is concerned, I think what they have achieved nowadays, you can see an MP going to launch a water project, a dam, a borehole. You wonder, sincerely. Last time I checked our constitution, we have separation of powers.
Yes.
It is not being adhered to. Many people, technocrats at the national level, they only think of one government called national government. And that is why we are able to look at the welfare of the employees at national level. Counties, you come, it is another thing. That is why even money can be brought in Kenya, we don't factor in counties. We just use it the way we want. And a lot of it, this debt we are paying, most likely that money did not come to Kenya. It bought some properties somewhere abroad and the people made merry, happy. So some of these things, I think because the issue was achievement, simply put, what the administration has done is more destructive than what they have achieved positively. Two counties, and specifically my county. We have done what we have done. And the one thing the other day, my governor was awarded as one of the best governors in this country in public participation, public engagement, public input, and using the same opinions from the residents to make sure they shape how we do our budget.
Is that why she was accused of running away with the 600 plus million?
That is an accusation and a political thing. You know, we know too well. We know too well.
Yeah.
Now that has come up. The issue of close to 700 million. You know, even in failed states, you cannot walk around with that kind of money. You can't. It is just politics. And I'm sure Kenya has effective agencies to deal with that. And I know the truth will come out so soon. But I can tell you that is far from it. Let me execute my point of development, because when we deal with political propaganda, actually we will deal with it at the right time. But I can assure Kenyans, Governor Wavinya Ndeti is well wherever she is. She went out officially for official engagement together with the other governors. After that, she had to take a child to school, and then come back. And she will come back. She has spoken on the matter. And I know it is not practically possible. Assume that was true. It is not practically possible to carry that.
So what is the truth? What is the truth behind this allegation?
The truth is it's just competitors who are trying to. The purpose of that allegation was just to make sure people of Machakos don't trust our governor. They will treat her as a thief. They will not, going forward, believe in her. But what we are working on will bring out the truth, and we will ashame them during the daytime.
You singled out the person?
Yeah, we know them. From where is it? Having sat in National Security Committee for all these years, I fail to know what is happening.
So for the record, so Governor Wavinya Ndeti is free wherever she is?
She is very much free. I talk to her every now and then. I can even give you a number and you call and let engage Kenyans. 2, all governors, the 47 of them, are orders of diplomatic passport, making them diplomats for this country. If anything of such a kind or anything else was committed by Governor Wavinya Ndeti, that transmission, that communication will be done to Kenya by UK government, and if need be, she will be imported. She will be deported to this country immediately. Have you heard anything? Zero. Because this was a political, choreographed thing that was just meant to raise political temperature for nothing. But we will deal with it.
So there was no money lost?
No arrest at all. No arrest at all.
No money lost?
No money. From where?
All right.
Now, to counties, performance, their counties. Let me finish, I will forget. Please tell the director to give me 1 minute. So performance,
we still have a bit of some
performance at the county level, we are doing from Machakos, where I come from. We have challenges, and major challenges, because of these funds delays. But still, even under that, we are trying our level best. Before that, before the award for public participation came in, we were celebrating an award from World Bank, saying whatever has been given to Machakos County has been utilized well as a result of a report they themselves did independently.
I'll come back to you. There's something. There's a reason why I'll come back to you later.
Okay.
Yes, Kevin.
Yeah,
2 years performance contract, performance overview, and from your point of view and your desk, what do you take home?
Victor, the president's scorecard is misplaced. And it is misplaced because some of the issues, of course, taking into account that we don't have the full report here, but most of the issues that you are raising are not in the purview of the national government. Agriculture is fully devolved. And if you were to look at the State of the County address that was released by the chair of the Council of Governors, Mheshimiwa Anne Waiguru, the counties have done better. You are talking 5.5 million farmers. The counties are reporting almost double that number. You are talking about issues of fertilizers, but the Chief of Staff, my good friend Mheshimiwa Walo, is not telling us about the drama that has engulfed, absorption of that fertilizer, issues around corruption, the fake fertilizer concerns. So in my view, what we would have expected that the national government would have done for His Excellency the President, not to, of course, cement the degree of citizen journalism that is ongoing right now from people that we have largely trained. Citizens are taking photos of fake projects that are being launched that contribute to white elephants in counties. The housing project, almost every county in this country has a facility called Housing Project, which was done by the Jubilee government. And as Kevin Osido, I have visited many of those projects where, in fact, they're just lying waste.
What is the state of counties as the county governance watch? What is the state of counties?
I am coming to that. So what the scorecard of His Excellency the President should have looked like is what I call the GJ laws, where G is governance, J is justice, L is law, O is order, and S is security. And if you look at those 5 or 6 parameters, Victor, the Jubilee government, the Kenya Kwanza government has not done well. Governance, accountability and transparency is really the reason why the Gen Zs took us to the streets, and is largely the reason why Kenyans are asking for accountability for public funds. On justice, we've just been talking about schools here, equity, equality, concerns around key services that need to be taken to citizens, and we are not seeing that really being segmented. Law, why is the IG of police acting, skipping court orders 6 times?
7.
Now is the 7th time, and somebody is just lying somewhere, and of course security concerns, we can talk about them over and over again. For the counties, to be honest with you, despite the challenges that engulf the funding and the disbursement of funds to county governments, concerns around pending bills, Mheshimiwa is aware about this, to over hundreds of billions of Kenya shillings, the counties have tried. And based on an assessment that we do at County Governance Watch through a tool that is called the CGI, the County Governance Index, we are scoring most counties to almost a 64%. Of course, noting the fact that all these counties are uniquely placed and they deal with very many different issues and challenges, despite even the kind of budgets that they also receive, because not all counties receive the same equal amount based on the formula by CRA. But if you look at what they have been able to do based on the functions that have been given to counties, most counties have done better. And I can share with you our latest county governance index, which now we are engaging counties directly. We have engaged the Nairobi County, where very soon we were assessing the state of the public participation that is supposed to inform national public participation law and policy as well. We are in conversations with them to address...
By the way, Machakos County, I think, is doing very well in public participation.
Yes.
Anytime I call the G's, is somewhere deep down in the village doing public participation.
And DG has talked about it, that they were awarded as the best. And that's why I can't go into the details of each of the 47 counties. And so I said over 64% for most of the indices, like public participation, where I was saying that Nairobi County, we have identified some of the challenges. And right now, in fact, tomorrow is Thursday, we are meeting with the CEC and the chief officer and the stakeholders to now share a draft of the report which we have done on status of public participation. Where, for instance, why would you call people for a public participation process and they have no idea what the agenda is? You show up with huge voluminous documents at 2 p.m. when the Gazette notice said it is 9 a.m. So these are some of the concerns that we are beginning to address with counties. Kiambu County, just a few weeks ago, we together with Governor Wamatangi, he ascended to the Kiambu County Public Persons with Disability Act, which we have done together with the county government and the county assembly and other stakeholders, really to cement this issue of inclusion and spaces of those who are largely left behind. And I can give you stories of each of almost all the 47 counties, Victor. But 2 years down the line for the national government, of course, now is much ahead for the county governments. Some of the issues that need to be addressed, really largely, because I think that is where the rubber is meeting the road. Counties need to be supported. If you walk into some of these counties, even the roads that have been done, Victor, are roads that, were it not for devolution, the citizens of those counties would never have seen them. Employment spaces for some of the young people, the women, who now work in counties through either contracts, This
sounds like your recommendation.
I am telling you, we took a ground as they are. Even as you're asking me to come to the recommendations, but just to segment the fact that counties have done better than what the national government needs to have done. But if you want me to rush to the recommendations, therefore, is one, we must address the issue of impeachment of governors. It is not possible that a governor can face an impeachment more than 4 times, 6 times. And we have precedents over this. The former Embu governor went through this process. Right now, through the National Dialogue Committee report, the Bomas process, there is actually a law that has been proposed on impeachment of governors. We must be able to delink politics from service delivery. And so that law really provides the threshold of what would require for a county governor to be impeached. And I'm saying this because county governors and assemblies largely under siege from one other. The other one is fighting the other from this angle and that angle. But this really impedes service delivery. So even as we move forward to the next phase of devolution, we need to look at what are some of the misses and the gaps. Number two is, of course, issues of pending bills, which we have talked about. Yeah. Many counties now have pending bills committees, including Machakos County. But the concern is, what are the results? Are they just committees with members who sit there and we don't see, the outputs, largely from the resources that are being given to service providers that have delivered services to the counties. Also, despite, of course, recommendations from the Controller of Budget and also the Auditor General that before you access your budgets through the IFMIS, there is a threshold of how much, isn't it, Mheshimiwa? You need to pay towards pending bills. Of course, issues of the delayed disbursement, Mheshimiwa has talked about it, and we have, I think, canvassed over this issue over and over again. Institutions of governance, Victor, need to be empowered, like IBEC. There is no reason why we should have the Intergovernmental Budget and Economic Council that does nothing, That institution exists with a very important function. Those functions need to be respected, and the individuals that have the responsibility to discharge their mandate in those institutions also need to be respected.
Thank you.
So I think I would leave it at that, Victor. Of course, not to mention that, again, Kenya Kwanza has not done well in debt management concerns. The scorecard of the president needs to tell us why he dismissed his cabinet, why 2 finance bills were dismissed as unconstitutional by law. So the concentration by that office has not done justice to Kenya Kwanza government and largely the president, because they are spending time taking successes from areas where they have not sold.
Thank you. Sossion.
Yeah, the mechanics of the constitution must be allowed to operate all the time. And this is what has operated. The Gen Zs came out to express themselves, not because there was really a big issue within the country, but as part of their democratic freedom, they came to express themselves. But largely, the ecosystem under which county governments and national government are operating is an ecosystem of conflict between politics and governance, and sometimes we cannot draw a clear line between the two. But nevertheless, within that framework and within the constitutional ecosystem that we have, a lot of good work is being achieved. The foundation of development is transparent and democratic governance, which I think the president has allowed the counties have done very well. And of course, I salute Wavinya Ndeti. I've seen her really midwife meaningful public participation programs, and I've seen also Governor Wanga of Homa Bay. And in fact, Governor Wanga of Homa Bay, if you look at the model of the development, is actually the plan of Kenya Kwanza, and it's working. There's housing units and many programs being done. So that generally, the 5 pillars of Kenya Kwanza, whose is it? It doesn't belong to the president as a person. It belongs to the people of Kenya. And we cannot draw a line and say, no, this is not the work of county government or national government. I think those of us who are legal experts, in all these, there must be consultation between counties and national government. If we're talking about agriculture, for example, Deputy Governor is here. The stage of agricultural activities is the counties. The national policies, insofar as to do it, fertilizers, extension services, and all that will be born and generated nationally. But through consultation...
No, they buy fertilizer at national level. Centralism.
Listen.
And that's why they are selling us
you cannot allow a
fake fertilizer, endangering national security, endangering food security.
The truth of the matter is, a county cannot procure fertilizers internationally.
Why?
It is impossible.
Who said why? Why?
No, those are facts, and it has not worked. And national
why?
This is a government. Because it is about national security. food security.
You are seeing the
Because we are
agents
coming
of
from a
anti-devolution.
No.
Don't allow Mheshimiwa to continue this
Victor,
route.
You should shut
Please.
down this governor and allow me to do my part. You spoke, I didn't touch you.
You are justifying why Kenya Kwanza is killing devolution.
Number one, agriculture. Do you want to procure fertilizer?
Why not?
You want to procure?
We can procure and give our farmers.
To do so.
No, we can buy the quality one, not the fake one.
Cooperation between national and county government is a provision in the constitution, and that must prevail in all devolved functions. No. Allow me. You had your chance.
Point of information.
I don't need to be informed.
But you are misleading the public, sir.
Yes.
No, I'm not misleading.
No, but this is constitution.
I'm not misleading.
I just wanted to inform you on the constitution.
So the 5 pillars.
We are done. We are done.
We don't allow him to continue. He's misleading.
We are done with the show.
The 5 pillars. Are you done with the show?
Kindly, just do 30 seconds. Kindly.
Are you done with the show?
Yes, 30 seconds.
No, director says we continue, but don't allow him to continue misleading and misinforming
If you're
Kenyan
done with
people.
the show, then I'll cease commenting.
Okay.
Because you took their comments. Yeah,
We are.
But
You see the producer on the floor.
these are
Just things are out
conversations as well.
of things are out of hand.
Conversation.
Yeah, so
Okay.
the fact of the matter is the 5 pillars. Agriculture, there are tremendous results that are indicative from the figures that the fertilizer subsidies and other programs have made significant changes.
Okay.
Even the cost of food has come down. Victor, number 2, MSMEs. There are a lot of investment programs that have been done in this space. Affordable housing. There is completion of very many projects right across the country, and others being undertaken, including even markets. Those are other infrastructural needs
are county
that are
government
needed. No, it doesn't matter.
Not national government functions.
There is no separation between county and national.
We have a schedule
on the absolute.
Let's do this.
Absolute.
Let's do this. Okay. Thank you so much, Mheshimiwa Wilson Sossion. Thank you so much, Mheshimiwa Wilson Sossion, former NAT Secretary General and former Member of Parliament. I wish we had more time, but if you see the producer on the floor, things are running out of hand. I need to, I don't know whether we have this in 10 seconds. The Deputy Governor, you were celebrated as number 1, the best performing Deputy Governor in Eastern Region. Again, that is 1. Honorable Francis Mwangagi. That is it. On the screen, yeah, that is one of the awards. I think if I got it right, that is, no, that's 2 awards. That is, yes, second best performing Deputy Governor, Kenya. That is Honorable Francis Mwangangi. And another one here is the best performing governor, Deputy Governor, Eastern Region. Congratulations. Thank you. Makofi sana. So that's where we wrap it up. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. Francis Mwangangi, or joining from Deputy Governor Machakos County, Kevin Osido, Chief Executive of the County Governor's Watch, of course, Wilson Sossion. I wish I had more time. Guys, thank you so much for watching. My name is Victor Lowe. Bye-bye and good morning. See you next time.